Over the last 3 videos, I've given you something to think about. Why smart people disagree, a filter for figuring out what to actually trust, and what happens when you check one of the most common things people believe about starting later in life. So today, I want to do something a little different. I want to take everything we've built and use it on something that's actually real, not a hypothetical, an actual plan from an actual person with actual numbers attached to it. I came across a video recently from a creator who laid it out in detail exactly how she went from nothing to a fully monetized channel in 12 weeks. Now, I know maybe you have zero interest in making videos. That is not the point. That's completely fine, but stay with me because the plan underneath what she did isn't really about videos at all. It's about how you introduce something new to the world, whether that's a coaching business, a product, an Etsy shop, or a consulting business. So I'm going to run her whole plan through the filter, strip out the parts that are specific to her, and just hand you the parts that actually apply no matter what business you're in or what you're trying to do. Her plan had 4 steps. Step 1, she got completely clear before she started on exactly who she was helping, their one big problem, and the one message she'd repeat over and over. So let's check this one. Is this a pattern or a story? Well, this one is a pattern. It shows up constantly across completely different fields for a simple reason. If you're telling 3 different people 3 different things about what you do, none of them fully understand what you actually offer. That's true whether you're posting online, meeting a potential client for coffee, or putting up a website for a new business or product. Clarity, it's not a content trick. It's just how people understand what you're offering, period. So the verdict for this one is that it holds up. It's fully transferable no matter what you're building. Step 2, she didn't launch with one small thing and wait. She launched with several pieces all pointing at the same problem all at once. Here's how I translate this for you if you're not making videos. The real principle underneath this isn't post your videos. It's this: when you introduce something new, one small tentative step often isn't enough for anyone to actually understand what you do. You need enough all at once for it to be clear. So if you're starting a consulting practice, that might mean launching the 3 real case studies instead of just one vague "I help people with strategy" post. If you're opening an online shop, that might mean having enough product variety on day 1 that a visitor understands your whole point of view, not just one item. And if you're pitching a new service, it might mean showing up with a few concrete examples of work, not a single abstract pitch. Is this a pattern or a story? Honestly, I think it's somewhere in between. She learned it from someone else and it makes logical sense, but I didn't find this one backed by the same weight of evidence as step 1. So I'd call this smart, responsible. It's a tactic worth trying, but hold it a little more loosely than step 1. So the verdict for me is, when testing the situation translated to your business, does it hold up with certainty? My verdict is it's worth testing for your situation, but translate it to your business and maybe not as much certainty. Step 3, she picked a space she could actually sustain instead of the most impressive one, and she promised herself she wouldn't quit during the slow stretches. That's tough because I quit a lot of things. And this is where it gets really important for you specifically, because I want to check her exact numbers, not just her general idea. She said most channels take off somewhere around 15 to 20 videos in. When I went and checked that against other data out there, I found that some sources land close to her number. They do, but plenty of others put a realistic timeline at closer to a year, sometimes 2 before real traction shows up. So her experience is possible. It's just on the faster end of a much wider range. And that's not to knock her. It's exactly the distinction this whole channel keeps coming back to. Her decision, which is pick a sustainable pace and don't quit in the flat stretch, is genuinely sound advice, and it applies to absolutely anything that you would build, whether it's outreach calls, client pitches, new product launches. But her specific timeline was her result, not a guarantee for us. And those 2 things can both be true at once. For us, this translates into Pick a pace of visible activity, whatever that looks like in our world, in your world, that you can actually sustain for at least a year, not just a few months, and go in expecting a slow stretch, because there almost always is one, and that's normal, not a sign you're doing it wrong. So the verdict for this: the principle is solid and fully transferable. The specific timeline is her experience, but not a promise. Step 4, she looked closely at what was actually working and what wasn't, video by video, instead of just posting and hoping, which is what I've done. This one barely needs translating. Whatever it is you're building, the version of this is the same. Actually look at what's working, which conversations turn into clients, which offers get a response, and which ones go quiet, which posts, if you're doing any kind of marketing, actually get people to reach out. Most people skip this step entirely, and it's usually the single fastest way to get better, because you stop guessing and you start adjusting based on what's actually true. I can speak from experience. I did things willy-nilly, did things and it didn't work. Didn't look at the data to see, okay, maybe people aren't vibing with this, and that's just the reality. My verdict for this is that it's fully transferable no matter what you're building. So here's the part we need to sit with. Her headline number, 12 weeks to a fully monetized channel, is true. But look at what actually caused it. She built 4 solid habits over months, and then one specific piece of content on one specific day, caught in a way she couldn't fully predict or control. That's the moment that pushed her over the finish line in 6 days. Her process was excellent. That's real, and is exactly why steps 1, 3, and 4 hold up. But the 12-week number specifically was her process meeting a lucky break. You can absolutely copy the process, but nobody can promise you the timeline, and honestly, neither could she. She just got there faster than most. Here's the takeaway. Take the plan, not the promise. Get completely clear on who you're serving. Launch with enough at once that people can actually understand what you do. Pick a pace you can sustain for at least a year, not a month, and expect a slow stretch at the middle, and actually look at what's working instead of guessing. I think if we do those 4 things consistently for as long as it takes, and I genuinely can't tell you if that's 12 weeks or 12 months or 5 years. Nobody honestly can. But I can tell you that the process itself is one of the more solid ones I've come across. Once you take her specific timeline out of it, I think it'll work. If you've watched all 4 of these videos, I really hope that you have something that you never felt that you got around building things for yourself, an actual way to filter out pieces of advice you come across from here and there, instead of just hoping the next confident voice you hear happens to be the right one for you. If you like these videos, and if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button down there. It really helps the channel out. It's the one free way you can support my channel, and I will be doing more of these videos. And again, if you just need something to help you map out what you already kind of know what you want to do, or how to translate the skills and the talent that you have, I have the 90-day reinvention planner. The link is in the description. The digital version is available now. The actual hard copy should be available soon. I think it will by the time you hit this, depending on when you see it. And I'll see you in the next one.